Everyone, why India is the one country the West can't defeat. Fire. They tried to suppress her spirit. They colonized her lands. They divided her people. They robbed her wealth. But they could never defeat her soul. India is not just a country. India is a civilization, a force, a heartbeat that's been beating for over 50 years. The West has tried time and time again to control, dominate, and define her, but India does not bend. India rises. India's resilience through history is not just a story of survival, but a powerful example of how a nation can face centuries of adversity and still rise with pride and purpose. The land that gave birth to one of the oldest civilizations in the world has faced waves of invasions, from the Mughals to the British Empire. Yet each time, India absorbed the shock, retained its core identity, and evolved. The West, especially colonial powers, believed they could weaken India by dividing its people, exploiting its wealth, and dismantling its institutions. But what they failed to understand is that India's power has never been just political or economic. It lies deep within its culture, its spirit, and its people. Even during 200 years of British rule, when India was stripped of its resources and self-governance, the fire of freedom never extinguished. Great leaders rose, ordinary people protested, and the nation stood together in unity for independence. That same spirit of resilience continued post-independence through wars, poverty, political instability, and global skepticism. India built itself up without losing its roots. It became a democracy when the world doubted its survival. It created world-class institutions when the West expected it to fall apart. India's resilience is seen in its ability to innovate with limited resources, to rebuild after crises, to educate its youth despite challenges, and to heal after conflict. It is not just a country that survived history, it is a country that rewrote it. This resilience makes India undefeatable, not in a military sense, but in the deeper sense of identity, culture, and continuity. No matter how strong the storms, India always finds a way to rise again, stronger and more united than before. And that is why the West, with all its power, influence, and attempts at domination, has never truly been able to defeat India. Because you cannot defeat a nation whose roots run deeper than time, whose people believe in progress despite pain, and whose soul is stitched together with the threads of strength, hope, and an unbreakable will to rise. India's diversity is often seen as a challenge by outsiders, but within the country, it is one of its greatest strengths. India is a land of more than 1,000 languages, multiple religions, and countless traditions. From north to south, east to west, the faces, festivals, foods, and even philosophies change. But the spirit of unity remains unshaken. Unlike many nations that struggle with differences, India embraces them. It does not demand uniformity. Instead, it celebrates variety. This ability to coexist peacefully with so many identities is a sign of true strength, not weakness. India has proven that unity does not mean sameness. A Muslim man, a Sikh woman, a Christian child, and a Hindu elder can all live side by side, sharing the same soil, the same markets, and the same dreams for a better future. While the West often defines power through control, India defines it through coexistence. Diversity has not divided India. It has made her more creative, more colorful, and more capable of adapting to any situation. In every Indian classroom, you'll find children who speak different mother tongues. In every city, temples stand beside mosques and churches. Festivals from all religions are national celebrations. This harmony in diversity is not a modern creation. It is rooted in thousands of years of cultural evolution. Even in politics, India has seen prime ministers from different regions, faiths, and backgrounds. In sports, music, science, and business, people from all states and walks of life rise to prominence. India's constitution recognizes 22 official languages, and the national anthem was composed in Bengali, yet sung proudly in every corner of the country. This inclusive spirit sends a powerful message to the world. Strength is not found in uniformity, but in the ability to unite differences into one powerful national identity. Where the West may see chaos, India sees culture. Where the West may see disagreement, India sees democracy in action. It is not always perfect, and challenges do exist, but the ability to function as the world's largest democracy in such rich diversity is unmatched. India teaches the world that it is possible to be many things and still be one, that you don't need to erase identities to build a nation. You need to honor them, and that is why India cannot be defeated. Because her strength is not just in her army or economy, but in her people, united by values, not by sameness. In a world increasingly divided, India shines as a beacon of what's possible when differences are not feared, but embraced. India's global influence is subtle, deep, and steadily growing. It doesn't scream for attention, but it reshapes the world in quiet yet powerful ways. The West has often looked at influence through the lens of military dominance or economic control. But India has a different approach, one that is rooted in intellect, culture, and innovation. From the ancient concept of zero to modern space missions like Chandrayaan, India has made contributions that transformed global progress. Indian minds power Silicon Valley, lead global corporations, and develop cutting-edge technologies across the world. Tech giants like Google, Microsoft, and Adobe are led by Indian-origin CEO, showing how deeply Indian talent is woven into the fabric of global innovation. And yet, this influence goes far beyond science and technology. In the realm of wellness, the world has turned to India for answers. Yoga, which was once practiced quietly in Indian villages, is now a global movement of health and consciousness. Ayurveda and holistic healing, once labeled outdated, are now billion-dollar industries adopted by the West in search of natural wellness. Even meditation and mindfulness, now popular across America and Europe, are rooted in Indian philosophy. Indian cinema, through Bollywood, reaches millions globally. Its music, fashion, and stories connect people from completely different cultures. Indian food has made its way to every major city in the world. And in diplomacy, India is emerging as a trusted voice. It balances relations with global powers without bending under pressure. Whether it's climate change, global trade, or peacekeeping, India's voice carries weight. It doesn't dominate, it collaborates. That is real influence, the kind that lasts. What makes India's rise unique is that it doesn't seek to impose its way on others. It invites the world to experience its values, its depth, and its wisdom. This non-threatening, inclusive model of leadership is something the world desperately needs. And despite centuries of colonial exploitation, India holds no bitterness. Instead, it leads with humility, grace, and a determination to contribute to the global good. The West may have once ruled over India, but now it listens, not out of obligation, but out of respect, because India is not just participating in the global conversation, it is shaping it. And this rise is not temporary or artificial. It is rooted in knowledge, powered by culture, and led by purpose. That's why India's global influence is unstoppable, because it's not about dominance, it's about contribution. It's not about fear, it's about respect, and that kind of influence cannot be defeated. It can only grow. India's spiritual and cultural power is one of the most profound forces the world has ever seen. Unlike temporary empires that rise and fall with military strength or political influence, India's power lies in something timeless, the soul of its civilization. For thousands of years, India has been the cradle of deep wisdom, inner peace, and spiritual enlightenment. This land gave birth to some of the world's greatest spiritual leaders and thinkers: Gautama Buddha, Mahavira, Adi Shankaracharya, Swami Vivekananda, and countless others who spread the message of truth, compassion, nonviolence, and self-realization. These teachings didn't rely on weapons or wars to spread. They flowed through philosophy, example, and deep introspection. That is a kind of influence no force can destroy. India taught the world about the power of silence in a noisy world, the strength of inner peace over external power. The Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, the Upanishads, these ancient texts still guide millions, not only in India but globally. Leaders, philosophers, psychologists, and spiritual seekers across continents study them, quote them, and learn from them. In a world that is often torn by greed, war, and division, India's spiritual heritage stands as a light, house offering clarity, unity, and purpose. Culturally, India is a universe in itself. Every region has its own language, dance, music, literature, and art. From the classical ragas that stir the soul to the vibrant festivals like Diwali, Holi, Eid, Baisakhi, and Pongal, India's culture is alive, dynamic, and deeply rooted in values. Even the smallest rituals in Indian life carry deep symbolic meaning. Whether it's lighting a lamp, touching elders' feet, or offering food to guests, these traditions are not just customs. They are expressions of a life philosophy built on respect, gratitude, and balance. This spiritual and cultural foundation is what kept India strong during centuries of invasion and colonization. While outsiders tried to conquer her from the outside, they could never enter her soul. Because India's power doesn't come from fear, it comes from faith. Her spirit is not aggressive, but it is unbreakable. Even when India was physically conquered, spiritually she remained undefeated. And that's what the West never fully understood. You can overpower a land, but you can't suppress the power of its soul. That is why India continues to inspire, lead, and guide without needing to control. In the 21st century, as the world faces mental health crises, spiritual emptiness, and cultural confusion, it is India's ancient wisdom that people are turning to. Her spiritual power is more relevant now than ever before. This invisible force, this spiritual current, makes India unique. It gives her a quiet strength, a calm confidence, and an enduring legacy. You can defeat an army, but you can't defeat an idea. You can conquer land, but you can't conquer a soul that is rooted in eternal truth. And that is why India's spiritual and cultural power ensures she can never truly be defeated. India's silent rise is one of the most remarkable transformations in the modern world. Unlike many global powers that seek to showcase their strength through loud declarations, aggressive politics, or military dominance, India chooses a quieter, more purposeful path. It is not seeking to dominate the world. It is focused on building itself, improving the lives of its people, and contributing to humanity at large. That's the real power. Moving forward without noise, letting results speak louder than words. This rise is not sudden. It is built on decades of hard work, resilience, and a deep-rooted vision that balances tradition with modernity. Economically, India is emerging as one of the world's largest and fastest-growing economies. Its startup ecosystem is booming, producing innovation that rivals Silicon Valley. From digital payments to space technology, India is developing solutions for itself and exporting them to the world. Yet, this growth is not accompanied by arrogance. India doesn't make threats or demand loyalty. It earns respect through its actions. On the global stage, India plays the role of a stabilizer. It maintains relations with multiple world powers while staying firm in its own national interest. Whether it's taking a stand in the United Nations, leading G20 summits, or sending humanitarian aid to distant nations, India's voice is becoming louder, not through volume, but through value. It is trusted, it is respected, and it is increasingly seen as a partner rather than a competitor. Culturally, India remains deeply rooted even as it modernizes. The country's youth are blending ancient traditions with modern aspirations. They study in top universities, lead global companies, create influential art, and push for social change, all while holding on to their identity. India's rise is also spiritual and moral. In a world full of mental health struggles and identity crises, India's philosophy offers peace, balance, and clarity. People across the globe are turning to Indian practices like yoga, and meditation not just for fitness, but for healing. India is rising by offering wisdom, not war. That quiet confidence comes from within, from a belief that true strength doesn't need to scream, it needs to act. And India is acting, building infrastructure, lifting millions out of poverty, launching space missions, empowering women, and educating the next generation. This kind of rise cannot be stopped because it's not built on ego, it's built on purpose. It's not seeking validation from the West, it's building its own future. Slowly, steadily, and surely, India is carving out a place in global leadership without asking for permission. That is what makes this rise different. And that is what makes India undefeatable. You can't silence someone who never needed to shout. You can't stop someone who's not chasing power but living with purpose. That is India's silent rise, and it's just getting started. Conclusion: India's journey is not just a story of survival. It is a testament to timeless strength, unshakable spirit, and quiet transformation. The world has tried to define her, contain her, and even conquer her, but India continues to rise, not by force, but by faith, not by dominance, but by depth. Her power lies not in loud declarations, but in the silent confidence of a nation rooted in culture, wisdom, and resilience. While others chase control, India chooses contribution. While others seek validation, India walks with purpose. This is why the West and the world can never truly defeat India, because she is more than just a country. She is a living legacy, a rising force, and a timeless soul that continues to inspire, lead, and uplift. The future doesn't belong to those who shout the loudest. It belongs to those who rise with integrity, humility, and unstoppable will. That is India, unbreakable, undeniable, unstoppable.